Hello and welcome back to the Pyrography podcast. This particular episode is going to be a bit about how I choose the images to burn. So hopefully, if the editing goes well, I'm going to cut to me either one side or in the corner, and then what I've got on the screen currently. So this is a picture from Craig Green. I apologise if I've pronounced that name wrong. I'm not great with names. So he was one of the first photographers I got in contact with to sort of ask if I could use his images. Very good idea to ask before you use pictures, because should one day you become, world famous, you don't want people turning around and going, well, you used my image, you didn't ask. And if they've got a copyright on it, then that's their legal right to say, mate, you didn't ask, you should have asked, I'd happily let you use it. Whether the photographer or artist, whatever, whoever's picture you're using, it's their right to ask you for a percentage. But some artists and whatever, photographer, whatever, some of them will turn around and go, well, I can see you're a small artist, sort of hobby artist, I'll let you use the picture, but once you start turning money over, can we discuss, like a cut? Some photographers I have asked have said, oh, can I have a percentage? And I'm like, yeah, it's happy. And then others that are a bit bigger go, I charge per picture, this is the amount. And I go, all right, I'm not at that stage yet where I can afford to sort of buy one picture, primarily because at the moment I don't really repeat doing pictures. I just sort of do one, I'll try a picture or an image and then sort of learn from it, and then I'll go and do a different one, just sort of so that I'm not repeating myself here, like again and again. But there are a few pictures like this one I've got on screen now where I'll do it again, but I'll do a section. So I've done the whole of this face, and then I did just the eye recently. Onto why I would choose this particular image. So once you've done the eye, if I take the arrow off, so here I would draw a line with a pencil. Don't do it on the carbon paper, because you don't want this line especially to be done in carbon, because actually you could probably get away with it, but I wouldn't advise it, because if you do it in carbon paper, either have it higher up so that you burn over the line, or risk it because you'll be filing it, or personally I file it, just to create that sort of because obviously it goes from really dark to really bright white. I file it. I won't burn it very heavily. Mike's getting away from me. So if I remove that line, as you can see, I would file there. If I change the colour so it's a bit more obvious, there we go. If I thicken the line a bit as well. So I would file this. Once I've burnt that bit, you'd use a smooth, you wouldn't use a pointed nib. I'd probably cut it off there as well. I'd use the smooth nib up to about that line there, and then just file all of that. Probably stop filing actually about there. So if I remove that line there, I'd probably stop the filing, and then probably do a bit of filing there. But that's how I would start this particular piece. But the main reason why I would choose this picture is the eye. I personally enjoy doing eyes. So the way the fur flows from the eye. So obviously where I start with the eye, I would then burn down following the fur, just like that. Just because the piece, from my perspective or in my eyes, the piece just flows a bit better if you sort of can see it. Obviously when I look at this piece, obviously I see a cheetah, but when I go to burn it or when I'm choosing a particular piece, I don't look at the actual picture itself, just sort of like the fur direction and sort of where it gets darker, where it gets lighter. So when I looked at this piece, I saw that it got very blurry after a certain section, which meant that I would be able to burn a lot of detail sort of below the eye, and then once it got to that sort of where the face sort of drops out and it's fur, it gets a bit blurry. And obviously where the eye stops, there's like a black, like cheetahs have that sort of black line, don't they, that runs sort of down around where the sort of snout of the face starts. So it almost breaks the picture up, and it's quite easy to sort of blend them together. But on this picture you can see it almost separates the nose from the rest of the face, which is quite handy for burning the nose and then using what you've burnt and then sort of burning, because obviously it's quite light fur as well, which is handy because then you can file it. Obviously the bottom of the nose is quite hard, but if you mess up it's quite easy to improvise because obviously the way the picture is a bit blurry on the nose. But yeah, so you follow the fur. Obviously I followed the fur direction there. You can see, if I do it in yellow, there's a bit of an indent there. It doesn't matter too much if you don't notice it. It's quite easy to repair, because obviously where it's so light as well, you're not burning it too dark. So if you go over it lightly, I always do, particularly with this sort of image, I always go over it really lightly, like basic, just sort of direction, so that when I'm burning, because obviously I get caught up in the moment sometimes as well, so it sort of reminds me or keeps me on track as to where the fur goes. Otherwise I'll just go through the whole piece in one day and be like, oh, the fur's all gone one direction when it needs to go 30 directions on the whole piece, obviously. So when you even before you start burning, I'd advise doing the outline. I always go over and do sort of fur direction, or sort of marking where it goes blurry, or this, that, or the other. This particular yellow line I'd advise putting in a pencil, because obviously it does actually curve under. The more you look at the picture, the more you can see. Obviously I wouldn't see this when I'm choosing the picture, so that's quite a fine detail. So with the nose section, if I do it in purple, obviously where I penciled in that red line there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I then penciled that over and I stopped there. If I do it in black, that black line there, I actually stopped the burn, and then went to the top of the nose, because I didn't want to go all the way up. If I just started with the nose, because it was the fur sort of just goes straight up and then curves at a bit of an angle there, and then penciled in this line here, because it almost, or at least that's the way it looks to me, sort of the fur obviously curves from the top of the top of the nose, goes up and then almost goes at a bit of an angle, but where the black of the corner of the eye sort of meets the sort of center of the head, there's a bit that actually curves up and over. The fur sort of comes up and then back over itself, and then where the corner of the eye goes up and sort of meets the eyelashes, I actually penciled it in here because it almost drops out. Obviously you can't see the top of the image because this is the whole picture as well. I haven't actually cropped it or anything. I just sort of went round quite lightly. I don't think I did with either of the pictures actually did this whole section in detail. I think I just burnt the edge because it was so blurry that I wouldn't be able to get the detail that I wanted. So I just sort of, from that bit onwards, just darkened it and then blowtorched it, because blowtorching creates quite a smooth effect, and it's quite easy, obviously, to get the darkness that you want. But yeah, that's how I would break this image down. Obviously not as detailed as that when I'm first choosing it, but once I've chosen it, sized it up, cut the wood, carbon papered it on, this process will be mainly the pencil process, but obviously you adapt the way, or change the way you would burn it while burning it, or at least I do. I don't know how other people burn. I don't see a lot of people doing safari stuff, but yeah, that's how I would break this image down. In particular, the whole point of this video was just sort of talk about how I would choose an image, how I would break the image down when I'm either penciling it on or burning it. There's no right image, there's no wrong image. Well, personally speaking, I don't believe there's an image you can't burn or that can't be burnt. It's more of a matter of, do you feel confident enough to burn it? Because I've chosen an image, gone to do it, and then gone, bloody hell, this is quite a challenge. Either because I don't have the confidence. Well, sometimes I can approach it with, it's confident enough to do it, and then you go to do it and you're like, oh, that's not gone well. And the moment you start to doubt yourself is the moment you either need to walk away or put it to one side, do something else, and come back to it. And I advise you do come back to it, because I have a very large box of pieces that I've said I'll come back to, and I haven't. I've actually started using those pieces to sort of move images up. Like, I lost where I was, sorry. This is going to make a brilliant video. So yeah, there's no right image, there's no wrong image. It's at least personally from my perspective, it is all down to confidence. At the end of the day, in my opinion, how confident are you to do an image? Because you can say it's down to skill or technique or this, that, or the other. Everyone's got a different level of skill. Everyone's got different techniques to doing things. Take this image, for example. I probably would be the only person to sort of break it down like this. There probably is a few people that also would break it down to this extent. Some people would just be able to look at the image and go, yeah, I'll just do it like this, and not think about it. But personally, I break it down like this in my head, obviously, and we'll do it on the piece. But just to say, give it a go. It can't hurt to give it a go. At the end of the day, if it's that bad, or at least you find that particular piece or the way you've done it or the outcome of it is that bad, I'm not saying the last resort is you can sand it down. It will take you a while, trust me. I've done a few pieces where I'm like, this can't exist anymore. This isn't good enough, and I do regret actually sanding a few of them down, because they weren't as bad as I originally thought. But if you are going to sand it down, definitely get a 40 grit, because especially if you've done a piece like this where there's a lot of deep burn where it's black, you're going to be sanding there a while. So it's, in my opinion, put it one side, either do something else, or just give it 5-10 minutes, have a look at it. It'd be salvageable. Everything's salvageable. Even whether you're selling it or doing it as a hobby, you don't have to sell it, do you? Just put it on your wall. Then you can go, that's where I messed up. But take the time to look at the image, sort of break it down bit by bit, see where you would start, where you would file, if you file, blowtorch, sort of do it, sort of break down the whole process in your head before choosing the image. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful. Hopefully see you in the next one. Cheers!